What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. Speaking of, if you want to support the RPG horror stories on here, after months and months and perhaps even a year at this point of YouTube harassing me to start activating memberships on the channel, I went ahead and activated the membership. If you'd like to support the channel further other than watching the videos and subscribing and stuff, you're more than welcome to. Obviously, you don't have to. If you click the little join button somewhere that's on the channel or on this video, you'll be able to join and be part of the members for the channel, which includes emotes as well as shoutouts and stuff. I'm still trying to figure the whole thing out. It's not exactly the greatest advertisement for it, but if you want to support the channel just a little bit extra other than watching the videos, you're more than welcome to, but will never be forced to. Let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Impulsive player doesn't want consequences for actions. Rage quits game. This story happened about 3 years ago now and led to the quitting of said player. For the cast, we have DM, Bard, our problem player, Druid. Other PCs are not relevant to this story, but include Cleric, Monk, Rogue, Sorcerer, and Warlock. The party arrives in town, and the Warlock notices that something seemed to be poisoning the free water source, making everyone who couldn't afford to buy clean water from local government sick. The party headed down to the local reservoir where they found a young dragon who gotten sick of the water, so we knew even there the water was tainted. After dealing with the dragon, we headed down into the underground to try to find the source of the contamination. After small confrontation with some undead baddies in the cave, the party splits up with Rogue, Warlock, and Sorcerer going on way, and Bard, Druid, Cleric, and Monk go the other. While Rogue, Warlock, and Sorcerer end up in combat, Bard, Druid, Cleric, and Monk end up finding some sorts of the contamination. It turns out someone had been stashing barrels of some unknown substance down the caves, and one of them had leaked into the water supply. Now the Bard, bless her heart, had extremely low wisdom and decided to test what exactly the substance was by dipping a finger into it and tasting it. It turns out to be an undiluted drug that instantly poisoned her and, like townsfolk above, sent her into blind rage. The Druid, seeing this unfortunate turn of events, decided to dip her head in and drink directly from the undiluted drugs just because, also instantly becoming poisoned by the rage-inducing drug with a failed save. What? Why? Why would you do that? You clearly saw your party member just like take a small sip, like, you know, just dip their, like, hand it. Oh, rage! Oh, I'm on drugs! And they suddenly just go, drugs? Give me some, please! I don't know, maybe the player was trying to be funny or something. Who knows? The DM told them both that until they were cured or the drugs wore off, they would violently attack anyone they came across, including party members. Bard accepted this immediately, prepared for juicy dramatic RP of it all. Druid did not. She told the DM she should not be participating in any PvP or giving up control of her character. Here it should be noted that this is the same Druid that on multiple occasions slapped the rogue across the face and threatened violence at the drop of a hat. Also the same Druid that had been warned repeatedly by the DM about actions having consequences in-game and had ignored those warnings. Very interesting. I may understand if you have like an interaction or, I guess, PvP. Is it really PvP if you slap somebody in roleplay and stuff, like with some sort of a dramatic event? I mean, on one hand, they're saying, hey DM, I don't want to engage in PvP, but in this situation, if you just chugged some sort of a rage drug, you kind of don't have a choice. Why would you drink the rage drug in the first place if you didn't want to engage in some sort of PvP or forced PvP? I feel like in that situation, if you did go out of your way to drink the rage drug that makes people angry and lose the control and go bonkers completely, then why did you do that? You already know that it was a funny juice because the Bard drank it. You immediately went chugging it. For what reason? I feel like in this situation, you kind of made your own bed and you have to sleep in it and just kind of deal with the consequences, and I guess the DM could just take control of your character and just start attacking party members just violently however they want to, because you're not technically in control in this situation. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if a DM did that, that'd be reasonable. I understand what the player is saying. They don't want to engage in active PvP, but like in this situation, you kind of already did this thing. You are not engaging in PvP. Your character is not even your own at that point. You are just lost in rage. You're lost in the sauce. The DM again informed her that the drug made her unable to make that call until it wore off and session ended. The week passed relatively quiet, with the party excited to see what would happen whenever it came back together, and the drama that would ensue. The DM and Druid took some time during this week to discuss how the issue would be handled, or so we were told. Game finally rolled around, and when the combat would have started, Druid proudly announces that her character has fallen asleep. What? What? Is that just them avoiding the consequence but saying, oh, my character's angry, wrote it out, and just can't control themselves? Oh, I choose for my character to fall asleep so that I can't do that. Hong Shu, Hong Shu, Hong Shu. I'm totally not gonna attack the rest of the party members. Promise you guys, I'm definitely not gonna do that. I'm just sleeping. Hong Shu. Like, you're not in control of your character. I understand what you're trying to do, but you're not in control of the character. It has to either wear off, like the DM said, or it has to be removed off of you. Maybe, potentially, just maybe, you could ask one of your party members to be like, hey guys, could you help my character, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to do anything otherwise, and then rely on your party members to help out in this situation. Or, you know, in the future, for future reference, maybe don't drink the funny water after you know it's funny water and just chugging it. The bar just took like a tiny little sippy sip, and you two went for a full-on chug with it. Like, why would you do that if you didn't want to be put in the situation? The DM instantly corrected her. The drug caused her to hallucinate that she was surrounded by enemies and she was filled with fury to attack them. The druid repeated that she had fallen asleep and wasn't going to be part of combat, and that she had told the DM that she wouldn't be doing PvP. DM agreed that they said they didn't have to do the PvP, but as he told her, he would run that part of her if she wouldn't. Druid again said she fell asleep from the drugs, and DM again said wasn't what they discussed and not how the drug functioned. There were consequences for taking what was already known to be a dangerous substance, especially after seeing another PC take it. Druid then left the call and shortly after left the game. That was the last time we would see Druid in the server. In time, we would come to see the departure of Monk and Cleric, though those are stories for another time. I get the situation about no PvP, and this would be something, let's say for example, if the Druid was in control of their character and didn't want to PvP, but for whatever reason the Druid decided to drink the raging liquid, the angry funny juice, and suddenly they have to deal with the consequences that their character is basically not going to be in their control and going to attack the party members because they see everybody is hostile, so they're going to go berserk and ballistic. Because now your character is put in this position and your DM is like, well, I guess I got two players that are going to be attacking. Oh, sorry, not two players. I guess I got two characters that are going to be attacking the rest of the party because they're under that effect. I don't know why two of them. I don't know why Druid decided to do it, but that's what's going to be happening and stuff. If a DM decided to take control from a player from some sort of an unreasonable point of view, unreasonable like reasoning, then I would definitely be on the player's side. And I'm fully on the player's side for not wanting PvP. However, it's not up to the Druid to decide what the character does when they physically go and compromise the character by making them drink some sort of a funny juice that makes the character not act like themselves or not act under their control. In this situation, you sort of chose for yourself to just, okay, I guess my druid is just not gonna be under my control because I'm gonna drink the funny juice that makes me lose control completely because I clearly saw Bard do it and the effects are going on for it, and now I'm gonna do it too because why? Actions have consequences, and doing something that in a situation would be foolish definitely is gonna have consequences that are gonna be of equal measure. If you do something great, you have good consequences. If you do something that's foolish, you're gonna have consequences that are gonna match the foolish errand that you're onto. I don't know, man. I feel like at this point the DM is not really in the wrong, but there could be two sides to this story. It could be that maybe the DM said, oh, the water seems weird, but maybe it smells kind of good. You should try it, guys. Totally try it. Hintity hint. But since we have only one perspective, we have only really one take to go from. And if the druid actually did do that, they're kind of dumb in this situation, to be honest. Anyway, let's get to the next story for today. Don't think I've seen someone kill a game so fast. Found a play-by post on LFG for Homebrew Traveler game, with session 0 being a group world building session where the DM, let's call Bob, would ask what to expect from the game and what we're looking for. We shared our preferences for sci-fi and what we were looking for in explorer-style game. Bob came up with this human empire on the fall of both tech and socially, as many minorities, both human and xeno, are being used as scapegoats. Still, greedy nobles are trying to steal as much power as possible, undermining the Space Emperor as much as possible, while punishing the undesirables for the fringes of the empire. A space gate was found for an unknown sector of space. Now a group of faithful migrants with some mercantile roots. This was when Bob dropped the name of the group would be a part of, based on some of the group of 8's interest in Mass Effect, Battlestar Galactica, Babylon 5, DP9, and Foundation. So I see why you want to be a different flavor of space Jews, and seemingly over-prosecute a minority group with an old knack for business. What? What? What am I reading? The first paragraph I was like, okay, got a fantasy going on, a little bit hardcore, a little bit extra and stuff. Alright, so you guys are space Jews with all these racial stereotypes. Bob typed as he posted images of what he put it, Seth Zintok style merchants guy. Is that a YouTuber? Seth Zintok? Is that a YouTuber? I think it is. Merchants Guild fan art. And by fan art, it was Jewish stereotypes. So the entire game is based off of Jewish stereotypes. You guys playing as these Jewish stereotypes, I guess, as characters? Okay. I don't know how to feel about it, but let's continue. I have red flags going off in my head right now. Someone outright told Bob they were out as it dropped from the Discord, and 3 more people dropped in short order. The other two members were expressingly shocked, surprised, and explaining how insane it was to post that crap in his server. Bob was seemingly surprised that anyone would go to him, being an anti-Semite, as Space Jews was a trope on TV tropes. It was a fan art for that YouTuber, and it was all a joke. Regardless of fan art or tropes or anything, at the end of the day, forget the TV tropes, forget the fan art and stuff. The fact that it was described in such a way with a specific choice of words and everything, there's a specific thing that Bob is trying to run that I think is gonna be 3 edgy 5 me. Like the way it's just described in such a strange way, such a really strange way. It just feels off to me, dude. It feels off to me. It's one thing to describe, oh yeah, this faction is very mercantile specific and they have bonuses to persuasion and trade, mercantile and everything. But to just be like, you guys are playing as Space Jews with all the Jewish stereotypes and everything, like, whoa, that specific choice of word that Bob chose himself, that doesn't really sell the game properly, man. At least not to me. I don't know. You have to have a very particular, very particular taste for the way that Bob described the campaign to we put in an interesting light to somebody. And maybe there might be some people, but definitely not me. I had to leave for work by then, where during my first break, I saw a DM from Bob about my character idea as one of the Vargar engineers, wolf-like aliens, joining the crossing. Bob told me that they was working on a plot hook for the alien characters, especially the female ones. Turns out someone in a failing empire was smart enough to understand that driving out the aliens from their homeworld, despite trying to help with the issues of brain drain and resource shortages, using them instead to focus the hate of the masses was going to be a bad idea in the long run. So set up Black Ops mission for drastically destroy the fertility rates of the aliens and masked it as a result of harsh climate and lack of resources. I don't know exactly how to put it into words specifically, but it sounds like, well, I mean, I guess the best word I can really use is maybe describe it like a space holocaust or something a little bit along the lines of that. Some sort of a mass event to try to masquerade as one thing instead of the other for the sake of sterilizing a whole group of people and stuff. Oh, Bob was never a fan of aliens, but seemed a few of us were playing females for some reason. He always wanted to play out a storyline of the most devastating thing that can happen to any female, not being able to produce or have a chance at motherhood. What? That way he didn't have to plan for alien factions in future campaigns. I left him on Reddit after seeing that I was the only person left in the Discord server. Days later, Bob blocked me on Discord and kicked me from the server. Edit 1. Yes, I know I should have left instead of ghosted. Was going to leave a message when I had time. I was doing back-to-back work shifts for those 3 days. Wanted to be clear-headed and give reasons why I'm leaving, even if it was to go on deaf ears. I think you don't need to give a clear reason whatsoever. If it's just not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. Nobody is holding you hostage. No, is Bob holding you hostage? I hope Bob is not holding you hostage. If you don't want to play with Bob, don't play with Bob. If you don't want to play Bob's games, don't play Bob's games. Also, the whole thing with fertility and trying to ruin female characters' motherhood or chance of motherhood. Why? That feels... That's a flashbang of a story, dude. Oh, I'm lost for words. I would say Bob should just write a book, but honestly, I don't think Bob is even the kind of person that should be writing these kind of books whatsoever. I feel like if he writes a book, that would just set a library on fire, to be honest. Bob sounds like the kind of guy that just wants to run the edgiest possible game possible and just wants to go for the most edgiest possible topics or whatever, or describe things as some of the most edgiest stereotypes for the sake of describing specific stereotypes. He didn't have to say oh, you guys are playing as Space Jews, but he's specifically using the word Jews and the stereotype of Jews to describe your character a specific way in order to apply the specific things to your characters. And then the whole thing about destroying fertility for the female characters to ruin their motherhood and womanhood and stuff. It sounds like a plot point from some sort of a very grotesque, grim, gory hentai or something. I don't know, man. Something about it just doesn't sit right to me. The whole campaign, Bob itself as a person, just no thank you. I guess the lesson for today here is that if a DM and the premise does not make you feel comfortable, you don't have to play. You could just say, this is not for me, or if this is too much to deal with, just honestly leave this server. And in this situation, honestly commend everybody for choosing the path of no D&D is better than bad D&D, especially the weird game that Bob is trying to put together. Honestly, I know I didn't give much of commentary for this specific point on this story and stuff, but dude, I just went through a flashbang. I got a bunch of other stories that probably have nothing to do with Bob or Bob-centric things specifically. I hope so. So we're gonna get to the stories ASAP. So we're gonna end the video right here. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.